I think the Seaside provides a kind of theatre stage where people pose for other people to watch them, and they perform. They cast away their inhibitions and they throw away their clothes and they feel free.
There's bodies on display, there's emotions on display, there's weather. All of that culminates into a feast for the photographer's eye.
This exhibition is about the way photographers have focused on the seaside since the beginning of photography to the present day.
And the exhibition also includes incredibly well-known and celebrated figures in the history of photography, but also, really importantly, some lesser-known, more emerging voices that show a different, less obvious aspect of seaside life.
I'd been away for a couple of years and really noticed how many shops had recently shut down when I returned. I think having that space away from living here made me notice it more. There was a shop in particular in Ramsgate, and I'd always gone in there as a kid as an antique shop, and that was shut down. So that was like the catalyst to start the project. I thought it was important to document how the towns are doing at that specific time, and the world was changing around them, but they were very much sort of stuck.
It's also important to remember that the seaside and the coast is a place where diverse communities live and work, and that's also explored in the exhibition. So, for example, in the pop-up studios that artists like Grace Robertson and Jason Wilde set up in Hastings in the 2000s.
I was doing some research on Victorian photography of the Far East, and most of the photographs they showed were stereotypes of exotic people. I thought it would be fun to turn this on its head, and if I could take pictures of exotic 21st century types in Hastings. As a photographer, I just allowed people to behave as they wanted to and feel completely at liberty to put on their act and to perform for me. I don't think I can get the same kind of pictures as I got in Hastings if I set up the studio in London. They were all very eccentric.
We put out a public call, and that allowed us to have photographers and families actually send in their images for us to have a look and see whether we might be able to include those in the show.
All the photos that I've submitted into the show were taken by my grandfather, who's called Pat Gwynn. So a lot of the slides that are in the show are from Burling Gap in East Sussex and Isle of Wight. There was an incredibly kind of rich content there, and they were very nostalgic, a lot of them very beautifully taken. I think there's a lot for people to recognise and relate to.
Well, photography has always been associated with reality, but I think what's great about it is only the reality that photographers seeing.
Margate's such a fun town and people love being here. It has this incredible history. For this show to come here and document people's fascination and excitement about the seaside, it's the right place for it to be.